Have you ever lost an hour of sleep due to daylight saving time? That feeling of disorientation, of time slipping away, is something we can all relate to. Now imagine losing almost 300 years. A vast expanse of time vanished without a trace. Poof! Gone from the historical record, erased as if they never existed. It sounds like science fiction, a plot ripped from the pages of a time travel novel. But there's actually a hypothesis suggesting just that, a controversial idea that has sparked debate among historians. The phantom time hypothesis, a theory that challenges our understanding of the past. This theory claims, quite boldly, that a significant chunk of the early Middle Ages, specifically from 614 to 911 AD, might never have happened. That those years were fabricated, added to the timeline for reasons we'll explore. If true, it would mean events, battles, and entire reigns of rulers and figures we've studied, revered, and built our understanding of history upon could be part of an elaborate historical illusion, a grand deception spanning centuries. The implications, enormous. They would shake the very foundations of our historical knowledge. Nearly 3 centuries artificially inserted, a fabrication on a scale almost impossible to comprehend, would force a massive rewrite of human history. Textbooks would need to be scrapped, timelines redrawn, and our understanding of the past completely re-evaluated. Imagine the Dark Ages being even darker, shrouded in even more mystery and uncertainty, or not existing at all. A blank space in the timeline, a period of history that simply wasn't. Developments we thought took centuries, the slow and gradual progress of innovation, might have happened much faster. A compressed timeline of advancement, defying our conventional understanding. It's a mind-bending idea, a concept that challenges our perception of time and history. That challenges the reliability of our historical narratives. Can we truly trust what we think we know about the past? So could it be true? Is it possible that our historical timeline has been manipulated? Are there phantom centuries haunting our history books? Are we living a historical lie? We're about to dive into to explore the depths of this fascinating and controversial theory, what this hypothesis is, its core arguments and proposed evidence, where it came from, the origins of this radical idea and the minds behind it, and why most historians are skeptical. We'll examine the counter-arguments and the reasons for its widespread rejection. Buckle up as we explore this historical head-scratcher. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about the past. The phantom time hypothesis, a concept that challenges conventional historical timelines, was proposed by German historian Heribert Illig. His theory suggests a significant chunk of time might be missing from our records. This controversial idea first surfaced in the early 1990s, capturing the attention of historians and researchers alike. Illig noticed what he saw as inconsistencies and gaps in the early Middle Ages, particularly between 614 and 911 AD. These anomalies were enough to make him suspect that the timeline might be seriously flawed, prompting a deeper investigation into the period. He argued that nearly 3 centuries, approximately 297 years, were fabricated, inserted into our calendar either by error, perhaps through miscalculations, or by deliberate design with specific motivations behind the alteration. Illig pointed to influential figures like Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II, key players in the political and religious landscape of the time. He suggested they may have tampered with the timeline, potentially to solidify their power and legacy. This manipulation, according to Illig, was done around the year 1000 AD to place themselves at a significant millennial point, enhancing their historical importance. His work gained attention for its boldness and its radical departure from established historical narratives. The theory resonated particularly strongly in German-speaking countries, sparking considerable debate and discussion. Illig published books and articles, meticulously laying out his arguments and the evidence he believed supported his claims. Some researchers and amateur historians, intrigued by the possibilities, found his ideas compelling and began searching for more clues to either validate or refute the phantom time hypothesis. Illig wasn't trying to erase history or rewrite it entirely. He wanted to correct what he saw as a major distortion. a significant error that had skewed our understanding of the past. His hypothesis aimed to recalibrate our understanding of the past, offering a new perspective on a potentially manipulated timeline. It sought to do so by exposing a chronological sleight of hand, a hidden manipulation that had allegedly altered the course of history. This sparked a fascinating debate, igniting passionate discussions within the historical community. The debate continues between his supporters, who champion his innovative approach, and mainstream historians who remain skeptical of his claims. So what's the claim? Illig's phantom time hypothesis says about 297 years, between AD 614 and 911, are fabricated. Events, people, and developments from this era would be fakes or shifted from other periods. The hypothesis centers on the Gregorian calendar reform of 1582, arguing that Pope Gregory XIII's correction accounted for too many days, implying fewer centuries had passed. If true, figures like Charlemagne might be inventions or misplaced in time, and the rise of Islam, Viking raids, and European kingdoms would need a complete overhaul. The implications ripple across Europe, the Byzantine Empire, the Middle East, and beyond. If Illig is right, it's not 2025, it's closer to 1728. The period's sparse documentation, often called the Dark Ages, is seen by Illig as evidence the era itself is an illusion. Now, why do some find this idea plausible? Supporters point to the Gregorian calendar reform, arguing the 10-day correction in 1582 suggests about 300 years are missing. They also highlight a scarcity of archaeological evidence and written sources for AD 614-911, interpreting this as proof the era didn't exist. Some claim anachronisms in documents and oddities in royal genealogies hint at a manipulated timeline. The idea of a grand conspiracy, powerful figures altering history for symbolic reasons, adds to the allure. For those who question authority, the phantom time hypothesis offers a radical alternative to accepted history. Most historians and scientists reject the phantom time hypothesis. They argue Illig misunderstood the Gregorian reform. The 10-day correction fits the established timeline, not Illig's missing centuries. There's substantial archaeological and textual evidence for AD 614-911, not just in Europe but globally. Civilizations like the Byzantine Empire, Islamic world, and Tang Dynasty China have records and astronomical observations that align with the standard chronology. Scientific dating methods like dendrochronology, tree ring dating, show no gap. Astronomical records, such as Halley's Comet sightings, match the established timeline, forging nearly 300 years of history across continents and cultures, would require an impossible, undetected conspiracy. The evidence overwhelmingly supports the conventional chronology. All right, let's break it down and examine the evidence. We need to understand why the phantom time hypothesis doesn't hold up under scrutiny. We'll explore various sources and methodologies that confirm the established timeline. Dendrochronology, or tree ring dating, provides us with a continuous calendar that has no missing centuries. Each ring represents a year, creating an unbroken record of time. Take Halley's Comet, for example. Its appearances have been meticulously recorded by both Chinese and European astronomers, and it appears right on schedule throughout the supposed phantom period. This predictable celestial event serves as a reliable marker in time. If those 297 years were truly missing, these observations simply wouldn't line up with our current understanding of astronomy and historical records. But the evidence doesn't stop there. Beyond Europe, the Tang Dynasty in China and the Islamic world were thriving, experiencing a golden age with extensive records, advancements in mathematics, and significant cultural achievements. These civilizations had their own independent calendars and detailed documentation completely separate from European timelines. So for the phantom time hypothesis to be true, their timelines would also have to be deliberately distorted or falsified on a massive scale. That would mean a global conspiracy involving multiple distinct societies, which is, frankly, highly unlikely. Faking history on this scale, across so many different cultures, would be logistically impossible, especially considering the limitations of communication and record-keeping in the early Middle Ages. It's true that sparse records are common throughout history, but that doesn't automatically mean entire centuries simply vanished without a trace. The consistent evidence we have gathered from multiple disciplines and diverse cultures fits together far too well for the phantom time theory to hold any real weight. It's far more plausible and frankly more reasonable to assume that the gaps in our knowledge are due to lost, damaged, or simply hard-to-interpret records, rather than a completely fabricated era inserted into the timeline. Therefore, the mainstream historical view stands strong, supported by a wealth of evidence. The expert consensus is clear. The phantom time hypothesis is a fringe theory. Tree ring data, astronomical records, and global archaeological findings all support the established timeline. For phantom time to be real, all these independent sources would have to be wrong or part of a vast conspiracy. The period in question wasn't isolated. Byzantium, the Islamic world, and China all have detailed, interconnected histories. Erasing 300 years would create massive, unexplainable gaps in these records, which simply don't exist. Illig's arguments about the Gregorian calendar and evidence scarcity have been thoroughly debunked. Archaeologists and historians point to plenty of material culture and texts from the era. The supposed emptiness is often a misreading of the complexities of the period. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and the phantom time hypothesis doesn't deliver. It remains a curious footnote, not a revolution in historical thinking. Even though the phantom time hypothesis is rejected, exploring it has value. It forces us to think critically about how we know what we know. Radical claims prompt historians to re-examine sources and methods, strengthening our understanding. Questioning established narratives is essential for intellectual progress. The hypothesis draws attention to less documented periods, spurring further research and debate. Engaging with such ideas teaches us about scientific dating, textual analysis, and the detective work of history. Even if the theory is wrong, the process of questioning keeps history alive and evolving. It's a reminder to always ask, how do we know that? So did 300 years disappear? The evidence and expert consensus say no. The phantom time hypothesis doesn't hold up to rigorous scrutiny. Tree rings, astronomical records, and global histories all confirm our timeline is intact. But the journey through this theory highlights the detective work behind history. It reminds us to ask big questions, but also to demand strong evidence. Evaluating such theories sharpens our critical thinking and appreciation for historical research. While those centuries almost certainly didn't vanish, the phantom time hypothesis is a case study in how we grapple with the past. Sometimes, even a wild idea can make us see history with fresh eyes.